Soldier tree, then Tactician, and then Scion tree. If you first go to the basics, yeah, Energy Pulse is a no-brainer. And why it is so good, yeah, basically because every point you put in there, he fires quicker, right?
Yep, every point gives more attack speed, more base damage, obviously, and increases the critical multiplier, critical multiplier by 2% per point.
Yeah. So, what rank do you have it at the moment?
I actually have mine at rank 40.
What does it
and
give?
with my Bolt Aura up and my other damage buffs, etc., it's currently sitting at 2,495 to 3,017 damage range, 80% critical multiplier. So instead of doing like the usual 1.5 damage on crits, it does 2.3 damage on crits. So it's basically a mini brutal strike. And then with my attack speed from gear and then the natural scaling of the skill, it fires at 8.3 shots per second, which is insane.
That's really huge. All right. What do you think the other skills need, other basics, to get up to that level? Could they change them some way to make them also viable?
Well, the thing about his other basics is they don't scale with attack speed per point. They do have higher damage coefficients, but Searing Shot is just your general basic attack. I mean, it hits one target, skills and damage per rank, and that's it. It has nothing special going for it.
Yeah.
I mean, just going by the name Searing Shot, it should do something like Punisher's Flechette Blast, like leave an energy burn, because I mean, searing,
Yeah.
just my opinion.
Would make sense, yeah.
Blistering, the thing that sets it apart is as the piercing component, which basically makes it a miniature devastating beam minus the charge up. But again, the problem with it is it just scales with damage for every rank, and it actually has a higher base attack speed than Energy Pulse, but since Energy Pulse gains speed per rank, it quickly outclasses it, along with the multiplier. They'd basically just have to completely redesign both of those skills for them to be viable past level, I think it's 18, when you get Energy Pulse now.
Yeah.
It just completely outclasses his other basics.
Yeah, so there's no way that anyone gonna use them. They shouldn't, at least. Alright. Concussion Blast is that's actually the homing seeker missile. Do you know if people still use that on later levels?
No. It's pretty much useful just for leveling, but pretty much once you get Energy Pulse and Vortex, there's no reason to use Concussion Blast.
Right.
The problem with it is it could actually probably use a little bit lower spirit cost, to be honest. Stun duration is great on it, but the problem with it is that the target seeking is random.
You have no control over that. It's not the closest one or anything.
Right. It just, from what I remember, I mean, it's been forever since I've leveled Cable.
Yeah.
But it just seeks out targets at random. So if you're clearing trash, you want to hit these blue or yellow mobs, well, it could just start firing off all directions at white mobs or summon turrets, things that you don't really want to hit.
Yeah. Alright. Fatswim did ask, is 40 the new skill point cap? It's not the skill point cap. The skill point cap is 20, but you can get to plus 40. And that's a hard cap right now, right? You cannot get to 41 anymore.
Correct. You have to... correct. 40 is the hard cap, and something that people might not know, I actually didn't learn this myself until the other day, is that you actually have to have 20 points invested into a skill to hit 40. For like, say I had like a total of plus 25 to Energy Pulse from gear, well, I couldn't get by with 15 ranks. I'd have to put I couldn't get by with 15 ranks, because 15 plus 25 is 40. It doesn't work like that. You have to have 20 hard points to get rank 20 in a skill. Or rank 40 in a skill, excuse me.
Alright, so it comes basically down, the maximum plus skills you can have is 20 then, counted.
Right.
Alright, I didn't know that either. Cool. Devastating Beam or Plasma Barrage. I'm not sure, I think you put 1 point in Plasma Barrage, or was that a fault on Marvel base?
Yeah, I actually just threw one of my spare points in Plasma Barrage because depending on the amount of trash, it is more efficient to use it over Energy Pulse, but the amount of mobs that you'd have to have for it to be more efficient as far as damage goes is pretty significant. It's because of how fast Energy Pulse can mow down a target.
Alright, so you need it only like if you're really cornered in Midtown, it could have its use.
Yeah, just on like pretty much I think for my personal stats, whenever I calculated my DPS, I think it had to be at least 8 or 9 targets caught in the cone for it to be more efficient for clearing than Energy Pulse and Vortex Grenade.
Alright, and the Devastating Beam is just too low damage?
Just the damage, I mean, it roots you during a charge up. It's just pretty much every other skill like that is just currently not in a good state. Like Tactical Destruction on Raccoon's a bit different because it has the damage modifier on it from your shield. But yeah, Devastating Beam is just not viable. Spirit cost, well, I guess it's not that bad since it's a charge up power, but just the damage and the area it hits is pathetic. Actually, I don't have any skill points in it right now, or else I'd show off just how bad the area is on it.
Yeah, I can't show that either. I don't have points in it. I copied your build. what I know.
Gates has a question.
All right. Gaves asks, are there any skills that you don't have the points for, but that you would like, but you think that the average cable should have?
Could you rephrase that?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what he means. He says, are there any skills that you don't have the points for, but you think that the average cable should have grants XX to XX skill? So, oh yeah, I see. What item would you suggest that gives you like grants 20 to a skill?
Oh yeah. The most beneficial you could get for that would be if you want something more defensive, you get a grants to kinetic repulsion. Or if you want to go more offensive, you would get a grant to Veteran Warrior, but I prefer Kinetic Repulsion for the longer duration because its duration is just absolutely terrible, even with significant point investments.
Alright, and the other one you were talking about, Veteran Warrior?
Yeah, Veteran Warrior actually I've personally removed all my points from it in my build, which Marvel Base doesn't reflect because it's more of a personal option. I instead moved my Veteran Warrior points into a defensive role because I only lost 2.5% boss critical and gained 40% dodge, so that was sort of a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, that...
I mean, Cable, his damage is so high that, I mean, losing 2.5 crit on a boss isn't going to hurt my damage in, like, any way at all.
I can see that. It cost me a retcon, though.
Yeah. They drop like candy, so...
Yeah, I know. Don't tell Anna that.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do, Arnold.
I only have 10. I need more.
Alright. What I noticed while leveling, I had a struggle around the early 40s and late 30s. I think I might have done it wrong. Is it because would you suggest people to level with Plasma Barrage, for example, after level 30? And because now I notice when I finally got like to 20 in the Energy Pulse, that's when it got really good. But before I feel like struggling, or have any thoughts?
It's hard for me to give an accurate description on leveling Cable now, because whenever I did the bulk of my leveling is when dots were bugged. So I just run around, so whenever I leveled him, I was just throwing around all my dots and doing full damage in groups, which made leveling a joke.
Yeah, alright.
But from what I've heard from fellow Cable players, is basically you just want to use Concussion Blast up until, well, you have Energy Pulse and Vortex. And after that, it's just basically a slow climb getting into the 50s, where it's like true potential starts showing through once you have, a lot of ranks to both Energy Pulse, Vortex, and Eye, and having the gear to complement it like a Faultine and Meta Sensory. Because before Cable has like good gear, he's bad.
Yeah. Alright.
Like if you don't have the gear for Cable, it's brutal. I wouldn't play him if I didn't have good gear.
Yeah, I think I struggled there as well at the late 30s. Tino asks, what power would you like to see added to his arsenal? For example, if they get the signature moves or ultimate moves to him.
The suggestion I really liked was from the Cable user, Scimitar, and actually his suggestion involved Cable Scimitar, which if you've read the old X-Force or any of the old comics, was literally a scimitar that he could power with his psionic int power. And the suggestion for it was to I believe it was his signature power, where he would slam his scimitar into the ground, and it would like radiate damage and give him plus skills. And I think they suggested a taunt mechanic to it, but I may be wrong. But
Right.
something involving his scimitar is probably what I'd like to see. With a I believe the scimitar suggestion being a good idea.
It sounds awesome. It also sounds something that they could do, so that's good.
Yeah, it's been one of the most requested things on cable, other than his Marvel Now costume.
Alright. Fat Swim Dude asks if you think you will ever prestige on your cable.
No.
Alright.
Leveling cable is just something I don't want to do again, just because of how brutal it is.
Tell me about it. I prestige my Black Panther.
Yeah, Cable, Raccoon, and Hawkeye are probably like just absolute horrible characters to level.
Alright. But would you, if they were fun to level, would you consider it?
Oh yeah, if it was fun to level, then yeah, I'd definitely go through it again. But currently, I just have no incentive to level Cable again. What is it? 240 more levels, Prestige 5.
Yeah. Alright. Tactician tree, I think we can go through it a little bit faster. We've talked about defensive role, how good it is. Veteran warrior, that it's not giving so much crit. Eye for weakness being, it's currently looked at being too overpowered, but yeah, it's really, really strong. So what the 3 auras? Do you think that you would ever want to change your bold aura?
No. Personally, I do not find Spirit to be an issue for Cable. I mean, I run with the base 225 pool. I do not have any Spirit on gear, on kill, or anything. And I just never find myself having Spirit issues to warrant a use of Dynamic. If you're doing a dot heavy build, which is inefficient to be honest, I could see a use for it because you have to be constantly refreshing. Yeah. But there's little to no reason that you'd ever want to use Dynamic over Bold. Because, I mean, Bold giving you move speed and damage rating is just impossible to beat. And then Vigilant, it's redundant. I mean, you have Telekinetic Shield from the Scion tree that gives you more defense rating than Vigilant Aura. Well, actually, I think it gives you more defense rating than Vigilant Aura, and it gives you a % bonus to your overall defense. So, I mean, there's no reason to use Vigilant.
No. Yeah, the only thing that I could see them useful might be if you go for a PvP team where someone has a bold aura from... but I don't know if there is another damage rating aura that's better. I don't know if the Thing one is better or the Colossus one.
Things is better, it gives you both damage rating and critical rating.
Alright, so then you could maybe switch it around. Yeah, so far the other ones just seem...
yeah, you'd still get the move speed benefit from Bold Aura, though.
Yeah, that can also be really good. Alright, yeah, Quick Body Slide is just a 1-point wonder. Tenacity is not going to be worth, at least not for PvP. I think.
Yeah, the Tenacity bonus is... It's not because the bonus is bad, it's because Tenacity is a bad stat currently.
Alright. Cool. So, then we go to the Scion tree.
And actually, can I actually add one thing about Eye for Weakness real quick?
Yes, sure.
I'm aware that people are looking at it as overpowered, but if you want my stance on it, I do not believe it will be changed in any significant way because of the new Tactagon unique, which gives an Eye for Weakness proc, and it's available for anyone. I mean, if they were wanting to change that, I don't think they would turn around and add a unique where everyone can have Eye for Weakness.
What's the level of the Eye for Weakness that it gives?
Well, mine is currently ranked, the Tactagon unique, it gives the Eye for Weakness proc. So, actually, let me pull it up real quick.
Because at what rank Eye of Weakness does it use then?
Well, it doesn't grant it. It just grants the same debuff of % damage vulnerability proc. I think the one out on the forums, it was like a 4% chance on hit to make your enemies take 48.5% more damage, which is equivalent to, I think, a rank 28 or 29 Eye for Weakness.
Alright, yeah.
So it just makes little sense to me that it would be considered overpowered, and they would just turn around and give a unique where everyone would have access to it.
So to lower it, so they say, well, if it's overpowered, you can get it yourself, something like that.
Yeah, I mean they added the proc to it for a unique that every hero can use. So